So one of the things that you realize as an academic, or one of the sort of moments that you get to as an academic, is that you realize that the more effort that you put in doesn't equate to any particular outcomes that you get. And it's a real challenging thing, right? Like when you realize that the world is pretty static and you're pushing against the world, and it doesn't equate to any particular returns for pushing against the world. A lot of this, what I see, a lot of academics will sort of check out when that happens, sort of research world. It happens actually surprisingly a lot. And they'll, they'll do research during their PhD, then they'll do it during, once they get tenure, and then once after that sort of tenure moment, they realize, man, it is hard to keep pushing against the world, and then they sort of struggle with it. But often it happens even before that. All the moments, all along there's all these moments that a lot of people just give up because they push against the world so much. And I think that there is this healthy amount of detachment that you need to do. And if you sort of take it so seriously that, it's kind of a weird mix where you're like sort of serious about what you're doing, but then having to detach from everything and detach from the reality of it. And as you sort of get used to that, that's the way that you kind of deal with the process of it. That's the sort of healthy way that you deal with it, because you realize that the world is pretty static. It doesn't change. You could keep pushing against it. And that sort of pushing against the world doesn't really change that much. As you keep doing different things, sort of whatever it is that you're working on, right? Like analyzing data, writing different papers and things. And eventually you kind of realize that as you keep pushing back and doing those things, that you're not making a heck of a lot of progress. And you see, like, a lot of people, when they get, tenure, just different stages where they're like, this isn't for me. This is not what I expected. This is not what I'm, about. And you go through this sort of moment, right? Like all the way through, you're kind of thinking about that. And then when you sort of arrive upon various different moments of it, and you realize like, hey, this is it. It doesn't change a heck of a lot. That's the interesting thing, is that you think it would change and get easier and sort of things would straighten out. But I've been doing this long enough. I've been in the profession for like 25 years, basically. I've been doing this long enough to realize that that sort of push that you have, that doesn't change. It doesn't get any easier in any sort of way. It sort of stays the same pace. And that doesn't let out. And I think that sort of relentlessness that you experience is really like challenging to deal with. And then you sort of get this feeling, or people deal with it in different ways, right? They sort of, so I would call, what I call checking out is just somebody stopping the whole research game, going into various different routes. There's all sorts of different things that you can do in different directions that are not related to research. But there's only a small fraction that continue to try and push forward with research as they get, older. It's a very, very small fraction that does that. And, the thing is that in order to do that, you have to realize how to check out, how to detach, how to just not care, I think is the key thing. And at, at this point in my career, I'm personally struggling with that. The sort of idea, how do you not care? But that's how you sort of get through moments of where it's just like, it just is relentless in a lot of ways. And it's pretty, not relentless in the sense that you're making progress, but you don't make a lot of progress, right? And it's a sort of slow, pushing into something that just keeps rejecting. And you have to learn how to detach. And I remember, the first times I've gotten, or I got rejection, and you feel it. But, after probably 100 times at this point, I've lost count. But you start to get numb to it. And some people might say that that's like not healthy, but that's how you deal with it, is you learn not to care. And as you're doing that, that allows you to sort of walk in the direction that you would like, right? So here's what's happening is because you're creating new ideas and the rest of the world is not at the same page as you. And so you have to get them to the rest of the world, but that takes, you have to get them to the same page as what you're working on. And that just takes an awful lot of work. And that doesn't happen overnight. And when you get confidence with it, you just kind of ignore and you just keep going. And I think that is the key thing, is it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter the sort of powerful people that you bump into, let's say like you're foolish and all that kind of thing. You just relentlessly keep going at it. And the way that you do that is you just simply detach in all areas. And I'm learning to do that. And I think this is going to be a lifelong journey for me. But, that's where I want to go. And that's what I want to say here is, as you're going through this and as you're going through similar experiences, just learn to detach and, just don't take it as seriously is basically what I'm saying. The sort of, ups and downs, they don't matter. They really don't. And the key thing is coming back to, am I a good person? Am I doing good things? And as long as you can answer those questions, like that, you realize that you are a good person, I think that's all that matters. And the rest of it is completely irrelevant. That's all I want to say. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.